Lesson number 93 today is about products and quotients of rational expressions. Our first problem asks us to simplify, and this looks pretty complex. We've got x squared minus 25 all over x squared minus 7x. And we're going to take that and we're going to multiply it by x squared plus 3x and divide it by x squared minus 2x minus 15. Now you might be tempted right away to multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom and then try to simplify later, but don't. Don't do that, because what we want to do in this problem is to use what we know about factoring, difference of two squares, and trinomials in order to help us simplify. Now x squared minus 25 is the same as x plus 5 times x minus 5. And then we can say that's going to be all over x squared minus 7x. Now x squared minus 7x, that's a tricky one. And it's a tricky one because there is no constant term there. But if we rewrote it like this, x squared minus 7x plus 0, that would be saying we're going to take this trinomial, break it into a binomial with two things that multiply to 0, and add to negative 7. So if we have two things that multiply to 0 and add to negative 7, we must have x, well, it would be x plus 0 times x minus 7. And x plus 0 is the same thing as just saying x. So we're going to get x times x minus 7. And that would be our second piece. Let's go ahead and write that in part of our answer. X times x minus 7. We're not really to our answer yet, but we're simplifying to get there. Then we're going to multiply this by everything we see on the right. X squared plus 3x. Well, if we took the same principle here and applied it to this problem, we'd get x times x plus 3. And then we're going to divide that by, well, x squared minus 2x minus 15. What multiplies to negative 15 and adds to negative 2? We must have x and x to give us x squared. And then we're going to have negative 5 and plus 3. Because negative 5 times 3 is negative 15, and negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. Now the advantage to doing all this is we can look for what simplifies. Simplify before you multiply. We've been working on this for a long time. We have x minus 5 and x minus 5, one in the numerator, one in the denominator. That's the same thing as 1. Then we have x and x, that's the same thing as 1. Oh look, we have more. X plus 3 and x plus 3. That's also the same thing as 1. So that just leaves us with our final answer. Very nice. We get x plus 5 divided by x minus 7. And we're all done. We've fully simplified this problem by factoring and then going ahead and simplifying before we multiply to see what we have left. Let's look at another problem. This one we want to simplify, but notice we're dividing. So whenever we divide fractions, we need a copy dot flip before we solve. So we'll copy dot flip as we work through this process. X squared minus 2x. Well, that must be x times x minus 2. Then, if we go ahead and divide, we're going to get, well, we're dividing it by, what multiplies to negative 8 and adds to 2? Well, it must be x plus 4 and x minus 2. Because 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, and 4 minus 2 is positive 2. Now we're going to copy dot flip here, and we're going to do this in one step. So we're going to multiply this by, and as we copy dot flip, let's now find our numerator, which was our old denominator. What multiplies to 12 and adds to 7? Well, that must be 4 and 3. X plus 4 times x plus 3. And then x squared plus 5x. We're going to get x, because we factor that x out. X times x plus 5. And now we just need to simplify before we multiply. We've got x plus 4 and x plus 4. What else do you see? Well, hopefully you said x minus 2 divided by x minus 2 is 1. And hopefully you said x divided by x is 1. So we're left with our answer. We've got x plus 3 all over x plus 5. We can box that, and then we move on to our next question. Our lesson practice will be on page 389. Make sure you've got your notes complete, and I'll see you during our next class.